I do find it amazing that a lot of people can't speak well. I find that truly amazing. If you don't have the ability to project your thoughts to other people, I don't know how you're going to be successful in life. The reason I refuse to learn another language is because I haven't learned English yet. There's words I don't know, and English is the most profitable language for me to know. So I'm going to learn English. If I want to spend time learning a language, I'll read the English dictionary. I'm not going to learn another language and start stuttering like a dummy. But there are people who've been speaking English their entire life and they can't even speak it. It's actually a pet peeve of mine. You know when you said earlier about being rich allows you to say no? I'm going to be very honest. I am the worst person to pitch to. I get people trying to pitch me for business and I'm the worst. Because if you're a vegan, no. If you turn up in a Prius or a Tesla, no. I'm nothing against Tesla, don't ban me. But if somebody cannot project their ideas to me succinctly, I instantly just dislike them, because maybe I have ADHD, maybe I'm too busy, I don't know what it is, but I don't have time for your ums and ahs. I don't have time for it. So if I'm sitting in a meeting and somebody goes, we're gonna start with, and this is how people speak. You're a full-grown man and you can't finish a sentence without saying or ah in the only language you know. You've been speaking it for 40 years. It bothers me. It's a pet peeve of mine. It irks me. Occasionally we make mistakes, fine, whatever. But if you actually listened to most people speak, that's how most people communicate with the world. You wonder why you can't convince a girl to sleep with you? Your tits are nice. Dummy! You're a dummy! No wonder you can't make any money. You're an idiot. This is people. They're and on their way through life. It bothers me. When people come to pitch me, if they say or ah too much in the first sentence, it's over. Sorry, sir. When you learn to talk English, when you learn to speak, I might give you another chance. Goodbye. So you're right. The ability to project the thoughts inside of your mind in a way that other people can digest and is also entertaining is massively a superpower. How do you develop that superpower? It's not through practice. People think it's practice. Practice doesn't make perfect. The person who ums and ahs at 48 has been practicing his whole life. He's practiced just fine.
He's great at that.
He's great. Feedback is what's important. You have to analyze. I'll give you an example. When I was playing chess as a kid, I would play chess for 2 hours a day training under my father. 1 hour would be play, 1 hour would be going back through the games and analyzing the games. I always enjoyed playing, but I hated analyzing. But it was the analysis that made me better. And I can prove that now, because when I was 8 or 9, I think my rating was around 1500. Now, I've been playing Blitz. I play 3-minute chess online for 20 years, ever since I was a child, and my rating is 1700. I've gotten no better in 20 years because I don't watch my games back, I don't analyze them, I don't look where I made mistakes, I just play. That's the problem. So when people speak, they just speak. They don't watch themselves back. I'm gonna watch this podcast 10 times. I'm gonna identify every single time I stuttered or made a mistake or didn't use the word I should have used. And then people are gonna ask me, how do I speak the way I speak? Why do my podcasts get the most views? Because I'm a professional. And if I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna do it properly. That's why. Most people will do a podcast and they'll just sit there and they'll just talk shit and then they'll finish it and they'll go on with their brokey day and be a brokey. But it's very interesting what you said about speech, because that also ties back to my current predicament. This is the first time in my adult life I can't use my superpower. Because my superpower is talking. If you were to put me in front of someone and give me an hour to convince them that I could rip out their throat with my little finger, I guarantee by the end they'd be afraid. We both know I probably couldn't. But by the end, part of them would think, he's confident. I can't talk in court because I don't speak Romanian. It's very weird for me. I became acutely aware of my superpower because I'm going through this process and my lawyer's talking, blah, blah. And I'm like, why am I so frustrated with all of this? And one day it dawned on me, I don't get to talk. When I get to talk, this is how much of a superpower speaking is. When I get to talk, it's fine. I could have talked the ocean out of freezing me to death on the Titanic. I could have literally said, listen, bro, my unmatched perspicacity, blah, I could have ran my mouth, and I would have, he would have warmed up for me. I'm that guy. I can't talk now. So it's very frustrating. So it's interesting you say how it's a superpower. It certainly is, because I've even realized it in this current predicament I'm in, how important it is to be able to speak. And the fact there are people going through the world today who want to be successful and want to have all these amazing things, and they only speak English, and they communicate in English, and they try and get other people to understand their ideas in English, and they can't speak English. Born to lose. Born to lose. How do they say you get perfect at something? Practice. But that's a lie. And you know why it's a lie? Because everyone says I'm an amazing speaker, but we've all been speaking our whole lives. Most of you have been speaking, a lot of you have been speaking longer than me. So why am I better? What's the difference?
You watch yourself. You study.
I watch myself. Feedback. Study. If you don't study, you won't get better. I'll give you an example. I'm shit at chess, compared to my dad. I hover between 1600 ELO when I'm really mad, like an idiot, and 1800 ELO in blitz. I play 3-minute blitz games. I've been between 1600 and 1800 ELO for about 8 years, even though I play chess for about half an hour a day. I never get better. Why? Because I never analyzed the games. When my dad would train me, we'd sit down and do the boring analysis. Why? What could you have done? It's the analyze, it's the feedback that makes you better. Why, as a fighter, if you just spar every day, will you never be good? Because you don't train. It's feedback that makes you good at things, not practice. You have to practice, then feedback, always. And communication is one of the most important things because it's something you do every single day, all of the time. If you're going to get good at one thing, you may as well get good at the thing you do most often. And you're all talking all the time. So you may as well get good at it. So you have to analyze yourself. That's the reason I said this and ah thing. To make it difficult for you, I understand it's nervous. I understand you're up here and you're talking in front of people and it's nerve-wracking. But you should be going through your life in general, catching yourself doing it and not allowing yourself to do it. Because that feedback, it won't take long. It'll take 3 months until you find a way to just stop saying it. And it's so unique that you don't realize how many people you're speaking to who do it until you stop. It's like saying, have you ever seen a red car and you drive down the road and every car's red? When I sit and listen to somebody, I'm literally listening to them thinking, fuck you know, you've been speaking your whole life. You're a dummy, right? Because I don't do it anymore. So it's a pet peeve of mine almost. But you have to self-analyze yourself all of the time. Don't allow yourself to get away with it when you're not in this environment. It sounds like a small thing, but I'm telling you, when you can compendiously, concisely explain your point of view, when you can do what I do, which is machine gun 5 points at once, especially in a debate, it's very hard to argue against me. If you give me a minute, I've made 5 points and linked it to 2 older points, and I've hinted at a future point. And now you have to counter that. And you're like, you're a misogynist. You can't argue with me. That's why the BBC got wrecked. So you have to be very good. If I was saying on my BBC interview, it would have been over. I could have said the same things with a couple ums and ahs, it would have been over. I'm the worst man in the world. So it's battle, it's war. So I want you to all become very, very good with your speech. Because it's an easy thing. It's not difficult. It's not fighting. You're not getting hit. Stop saying stop saying ah.
How do you structure that?
You need a pause to think. So what I will do is I will either literally take a pause and stop. And a lot of that is body language to allow yourself to be given the time to do that. Or the second thing I'll do if I make a mistake is I'll repeat myself. So I'll say something like, there's an example. So I'll say. That sounds better than going, so I'll say, and I know English isn't always your first language. I know for some of you people, I'm not as hard because English isn't your first language. I completely get that. It's also the reason I refuse to speak another language because I speak English so well that I don't want to degrade. If you want to speak to me, you speak to me in my language. It's my battlefield. I win. But English is the language of the world, so you may as well get very, very good at it. And it will translate to all of your personal relationships. Your arguments will become shorter. You'll make more money. Everything is from communication. That's why I have a stick, and that's why I have a pet peeve for ums and ahs. Because it's the easiest way to just improve your overall status. Because you also come across extremely confident when you don't use and ah. You look like you know exactly what you're talking about when you don't use and ah. If I say what's 2 + 2 and you go 4, you look dumb. If I say what's 2 + 2 and you go 4, you look smart. But makes you look like an idiot. So it's a pet peeve of mine. I just said it's twice. I just did it. So I'm self-analyzing myself all the time to make sure I don't do that. So that's why I've said it before this to make it hard for all of you when you stand up here and you're nervous and you start going But in general life, try not to do it, because you'll see your life improve. You'll see your interactions with people improve in real time. You'll know.